Say I've been here for 140 years. But my job today is to give you a good feel for what it is as a lighthouse keeper and what the job, why lighthouses are here. Now, to understand the history though, it's not exactly so simple. Does anybody, well let me ask this, does anybody hate history growing up? Loved it. Okay, well I was one of the ones that hated it. And ended up working, if you're in Arizona, there's a park called Tumacacri. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I was there. Wonderful mission. Was there for 15 years. And excuse me, at Tumacacri, I just found out that history wasn't dead. I always thought, you know, I mean, the way I was taught, you read this book and you answer questions at the end of the thing. It's the most boring thing in the world.
Much better when you can go out and see it.
Well, you see it, but even more so, I think what I'm trying to get at is feeling it. You know, how do you step in the shoes of people that were here before? Now, I'm, of course, a lighthouse keeper in my historic costume and things like that. Sometimes I do go back in time, so if I get too far out, just wave to me and such like that. But, you know, what was it like back then? So that's what I'm going to invite you to do today as we go through the tour, is to imagine what it's like. You know, answer the questions as if you were in 1885 or looking at 1937 and the different parts as we're coming through. Now, before we go on with the tour, there are a couple logistics really quickly. If you have a cell phone, if you can turn it off or vibrate. So take all the pictures you want, and I ask you not to play video games or text. Which, believe it or not, we even have to ask that nowadays, because I'm not so much with adults, but along with that, but take all the pictures you want. Another, if you have to exit for any reason, please make sure to close that door behind you and don't let anybody in unless they're official. And then the third part I'll talk about is when we get to going up, knowing your own buildings. So I'll talk more about that as we're going through. So, and ask lots of questions. So we'll take about 45 minutes to get up to the top, and depending on how much I talk, on whether I get any break at the end. That's why I hovered that 5 minutes. So usually I don't even get that. So, in becoming a lighthouse keeper, how many people have dreamt about being a lighthouse keeper? What do you think? Give me some words when you think about a lighthouse keeper. What one word?
Isolation. Yeah.
Isolation. Okay. Loneliness. We hear that a lot. Any other ideas?
Sounds like fun.
Fun. Okay. All right. Well, that's you know, getting there. But we'll touch upon, you know, that life as a lighthouse keeper with that. So let me just ask you, today's standards. Well, let's see. Was anybody around? Well, today, what's the average square footage of a home? Would you say? Just a rough guess.
Average 1,500?
15. Yeah, probably close to 2,000. I think it's more about average. How about the 1970s?
It was smaller by far.
Yeah, probably 1,100, 1,200. Now, how about 1885? Yeah, if you're lucky, you know, 500 to 800, basically a small one-room cabin. So this is where most people are living. And you might be down on the bayfront, or you might be 1880s. You might be building a cabin in the woods, maybe 1 or 2 rooms. If you're wealthy, you'd have something better, but for the most part. You also had a pretty neat little town here. And anybody know what the main industry in Newport would be in 1880s? No.
No.
Fishing?
Fishing
No.
and logging, lumber.
No.
Gold mining.
Think again.
Gold mining or
It's called
materials?
tourism.
Oh, really?
We're a tourist town, and that was the main thing in the summer. It swelled in the summer. The fishing came later, the logging and the fishing. I mean, there was certainly, it was a fishing village, don't get me wrong, but that wasn't the main. It really made more money from anything on the tourism. And that's really what invented it, when Sam Case came here and made a big hotel. And people got the coming over from the valley and take the stage, or later on the train coming over. So what do you think people made for wages back then?
Nickel a day.
Yeah, pretty much what you caught. I mean, more or less, whatever you could do. So I'm going to offer you a job, $500 a year salary, and this house here. All right. Now there are some requirements. You're going to need to learn how to read and write, or know how to read and write. And be basically physically fit and be able to go up the stairs. You don't get the whole house, you get half of it, but it's 1,100 square feet on each side. That's pretty good. How much do you think this view's worth?
Oh, yeah.
Quite a lot, and then of course, especially if people from Oregon know the weather, it's always like this, just beautiful. Rarely rains. Never gets cold.
Never know, man.
Actually, the cold is kind of an exception, but the rain, yeah, we get our fair share. So we have two keepers, head keeper. I'm the keeper, my wife thinks I'm one also, and the first assistant. And then you got the second assistant gets the 500 square house in the back, couple rooms, but you're a bachelor, just starting a family. And also take a look at this, can you see any of the benefits?
Looks like you have your own farm, maybe?
Yeah, own garden, place to put your animals, and where can you come with your job and get some goats or sheep or a cow, and you can just bring it in. Now, in addition to that, you got 3 families living here, so you got some built-in labor that are known as wives as kids. You know, that can help maintain that. Now, also looking at that though, we start seeing, well, let me go back to benefits. About every 3 months you get a supply ship. You're gonna have sea rations that come with that, a library that comes in, top of the line tools, and maybe some better corresponding mail, etc. that's coming in. Now, at the same time, take a look at that, and can you see anything that's not so positive?
Out there by yourself.
Well, you're out there, well, with 3 families, and we're also close to town. But who owns a house?
The government, yeah.
Well, no, who owns, of you people, who owns a house here?
Well, the people, the state, the
Yeah, no,
government.
I'm just trying to think in your own house today.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So what do you, if you were gonna go buy this place, what would you be thinking? I mean, I'm thinking gorgeous, my wife's thinking, oh, absolutely gorgeous, but I'm thinking,
Truckload of
that's a
money.
lot of work, a lot of work to do, because I'm not only maintaining the lighthouse, I'm maintaining all these buildings here. So guess what your main job is here? A lighthouse,
Maintenance.
a lighthouse person is really a maintenance person for the most part. The actual keeping the light lit is that's the frosting on the cake, that's the easy part of the job. So a lot of time with that. So you got some great benefits, but there's requirements too. And it is a federal job, and so like all federal, or most jobs, but especially the federal, we've got people that like to make rules. And so this is just a small part of the rule book, and we are required to know that. Some real good words of wisdom, and some words that you probably don't want to describe in public. At least how you feel about some of the things that they want you to do it. Now, the good part is you got about 3-4 months before the inspector came. So if the keeper is pretty mellow, you're all right. Now, if you get an officialdom keeper, then you could be in trouble with that. So just a few things. Now, you were talking about loneliness. So one of the things in here is you are required to do tours. So knock that loneliness off, at least in the summer, because if somebody knocks on that door, you're coming down, putting on your nice suit, your uniform, and you're gonna be doing tours. And we've been doing that since we opened. You also live, of course, in town. Later, you're gonna get school groups that show up that you're supposed to give them tours for, and the whole thing. Other things is you get 5 weeks of vacation a year,
That's what I was gonna ask.
providing you find your own replacement.
Oh,
So you're gonna have to, and that's where it comes in, and you invite people from different parts of the world and to come in, and from Arizona or whatever, come on over, we'll watch my lighthouse.